Hi there, welcome back to my craft room. It's Kathy from Raven Vintage. We're working on this Hinge journal I'm using a vintage book as my cover, and we reinforced the spine in the last video, and we selected our papers, and then I left you with some homework to fold your papers in half, glue the three sides, and then I guess it would be this way, glue the three sides and ink your edges if you so desired. If you chose to keep your papers where you were going to leave them open and not glue them because you have double-sided prints, then you didn't need to do that step, but let me just show you what I'm talking about. So here's a hinge. So when it's hinged in, you'll have this page, that page, where mine are folded in half and glued shut. So I will simply have this page and the back, and they're a little bit thick. So that's what this is what I was going for, but this is also an option. I do believe that's how Cindy did hers. Okay. Cindy A. Lewis is who I'm talking about. That's where we got the inspiration for this project. And like I said, I've never made a hinge journal before, so this is new for me. And I thank you for just giving me the grace to give this a try for the first time and to follow along. I may need to add more papers, or I may need to take away a few papers, because let's just take a look at this. Now that those are all folded and creased nicely, look at how the size. Do you remember I showed you in the last video how they filled the journal? Well, now that they're folded and I've burnished them, the edges, it's condensed. So once I put the hinges on and then attach one to the front and attach the last one to the back, is it going to be, let's think of the spine, is it going to be wide enough for the spine of this book? I don't know if I'm explaining that clearly or not, but I am keeping an open mind. This is what I've concluded. I need to keep an open mind that the number of pages I have decided on may be too much, and it might not be enough. We'll see how much wider this gets by adding the hinges. We'll see. I have no idea. So therefore, I'm not going to glue anything down to the cover yet until I know that my book block is the right size to be able to attach to the front and the back. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to show you how I made my hinges. Then we'll get to gluing them to the pages. So I used this kind of manila colored cardstock. I'm going to say it's a 60-pound, and I'm pretty sure this came from, have you ever seen those cardstock kits you can get at Michael's where they have like 4 or 5 colors in them? So this one had like a dark brown all the way to an ivory white, and this is one of the colors in between. It's like a small pack, like, I don't know, maybe 200 sheets or something, and yeah, I think it's a 60-pound. I could be wrong. I think 60 or an 80-pound, doesn't matter. This is an 80-pound, so I know this is an 80-pound, so it's very similar. Okay, so this is what you do. It's really, really simple. So on your scoreboard, you're going to take your cardstock that you're using. Actually, before I start, turn your paper landscape, your cardstock, I should say. And now this is we're talking about the height from here to here. So make sure you cut your cardstock the height of your papers. Okay. We don't want to have to go cut these after, because we want them to be, we want to keep the size relatively uniform. So this would be a good time to cut these now. So I know that mine were 7.75 inches. So whatever height your papers turned out to be, that's how tall you want your, I don't think there's any harm if you do them a little bit smaller, but I think you should try to keep it the same size if possible. So, okay. Flip that over, and then we simply score every half inch. Every half inch. So I'm starting here at the half-inch mark. 1 inch, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. You can go all the way across your page, okay? I'm just going to demonstrate with this one because this is a piece I have left over, and as long as it's tall enough, I want to make just a couple spares, just in case I don't have enough, and a couple of mine were a little bit rough. So go all the way across your page, and then what you'll do, I'll just do this one and then I'll make my extras. Then you want to cut every inch. So line that up. My blade is not great on this thing, so you're going to cut inch strips like this. So there's a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch with your score line in the middle. So just cut these all at 1 inch. Like this. Keep going. Cutting all of those. Okay. And then what you'll end up with, well, we'll get to that in a second. Let me just do these quickly. So I've got 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3. Okay. And my blade's a little rough, so I just want to use my trimmer just to get some good crisp lines. So I'm just going to line up that score line on the edge. And this last little bit isn't quite enough. I'm just going to turn it around. It's easier to keep the... There we go. There and there. So that little bit is garbage or recycle. So I've made 3. Okay, let me get this big guy out of the way. Okay. So then what I did was I folded all of these. Now I made a valley, right, with the score, so I'm folding away from the valley. So there's the mountain, there's the valley, so I'm folding away from the valley. This one looks like I need to trim that a little bit. Actually, I'll just do these two, it's fine. Away from the valley. Okay. Then what I did was I gave these a nice crease. Okay, see how this one's just a little bit wider than that one? I am not concerned in the least. It's such a small fraction, it's not going to look too odd. It just depends on where I fold them and trim them. And if it bothers you, trim it off. I don't know how close I can get in here, but let's give it a try. I know that this thing will cut the teeniest, tiniest edge, but whether I can hold it there is the next challenge. See how close I can get that in there. Well, try it. Oop, a nice little thin piece off of that. So now let's see how it lines up. That's better. Okay, so you have your little hinges made. The next thing I did was I just took an old credit card and I made a corner, made a larger one and a smaller one with the angle. And I just went with, doesn't matter, whatever you decide, just be consistent with it. So I just held this up to the edge of all of my strips and cut off the corner, and then I would flip and cut the other corner So I'll just show you here in a second which side I'm cutting from. So the top of my angle, or the top of my credit card, is on the folded side, and the lower side of the angle is on the open side. So what you end up with is a shape like this. So you have a point and a point. And then I simply inked all sides. Oops, I don't need to do the outside there. There, open it up, because this is the part that this will be glued down. This is the part that will show. So inked all sides, and then I folded it backwards to ink the middle. There, that's the end product there. You can see that? That's what I ended up with. So those, I'll fold that back in half. Those are my hinges. So one more time, I have, if this opens up, this is the folded side. Put the top of your angle. If you want a free form and just cut yours, you bless you, because I would never get them all the same. So that's why I'm using this template I made. And then I'm going to turn it this way. And I've been meaning to make a template with a card anyway, for tags. There we go. So do you know what I mean with tags? So when you're making your tag, you can, here, this is a good example here. You could hold this up to the edge and cut that corner, and then you could flip this over and line it up top and side to cut that one, and that way your two angles will be the same. So handy idea to make yourself one of those. And I just was able to cut that with regular scissors, so that is easy peasy to do. And I do recommend making a couple different sizes, because depending on the size of your tag, you may want more of an angle. Okay, we'll just ink this one and we'll be on our way. So I ended up, remember, I ended up adding a couple lined pages. I think we had originally started with 20 pages, and then I had cut one of mine too short, so I removed it, and then I added the lined pages. So I'm not even sure right now what I ended up with. I want to say 24. Let me double check. Okay, that's that one. Double check. So I can't even remember now what I have. And I did change the order a bit too from what we did the other day. Just once I had it together, I kind of flipped through and thought, oh no, I like this better here. And there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so I have 24, and I'm going to guess, I think I made about 26 of these, just, or maybe now with those extra two, maybe 28, just to have a couple extra. I'm not exactly sure. I was just thinking one for between each page. I wasn't sure. I was thinking we need one hinge for between each page, but then I also need a hinge for the front and the back. So I just wanted to make sure I had enough. But let's see, I might end up needing more of these. So I'm not going to glue this right into the book just yet, because like I said, I want to make sure I have enough and that the width is appropriate so that it will attach from here to here with the book still closing nicely, the book cover. Okay, so this, I'm probably going to turn these sideways. I won't do the outside one just yet because we don't need that one just yet. Okay, so basically we want to glue this down. So we're gluing the outsides of the hinges. Let me get my glue started here. And I'm using my precision bottle with the art glitter glue. Okay. And then we just want to, oops, this way. You want the center of the hinge to be on the edge of the paper, and line up your top and bottom. And then I guess you just maybe turn it over to make sure you're right on the edge. You want to match your edge up nicely. Not sticking out too far and not hiding. Okay, and then let's just smooth that on. My end frame here, let me just move up a bit here. No mess, which is wonderful. Okay, so that's my front, and then this will be my, I need to rearrange myself here, I think. There we go. So I want to say hello to a few people. Tor Baker. Tor mentioned starting scrapbooking back in with Creative Memories back in the 90s. And said that junk journaling is so similar, which is why, just so you know, one of my favorite things to do is try to pronounce names rather than struggle with it. I realize that it's actually kind of a beautiful and fun thing how our names are pronounced. But also this reminds me that I'm going to start a list. Seriously, I'm going to start a list, probably a spreadsheet. And for those of you who have a handle that isn't an obvious first name, I'm going to make a list of your actual name alongside your YouTube handle. So Tor mentioned it's like when you're junk journaling, it's like scrapbooking on a smaller scale while expanding your journal. I think that was a really great way to phrase that. I think that's scrapbooking on a smaller scale. I think that was just a great way to frame that. Thanks for your comment. I appreciate it. And Crafty One, that's Roxanne. So rather than, see, that's a great example. So rather than referring to you as Crafty One, which I'm sure you are, Roxanne, it's nice to call you by your first name, Roxanne. So if anyone cares to share their first name, and I see a lot of names on a daily basis, and I'm pretty busy in here, so I feel bad when I forget your first name. So I want to make a list. I want to make a list so I can have it handy so that I can take a glance and make sure I know who I'm talking to. Okay, so there's our first one. Looks so nice. So speaking of Crafty One, thanks for your comment about me being a good teacher and how I handled the mistake. Yeah, mistakes. There's always mistakes, but everything's fixable in junk journaling. And why not share that with you? Because if that way, if you make the same mistake, then you might know how to handle it too. And I would hate to see anyone get frustrated and garbage a project or something because of, you know, one. I have taken pages. I've removed pages from a journal before. Okay, I did rearrange this a little bit, didn't I? I can't remember what was just there. They're so hard to tell. I'm hoping I can tell with the inking there. And Roxanne was going to go check out my envelope series. Yes, so if you go to my playlist, there is the 100 days of envelopes. That was fun. It was quite a stretch. 100 days is a long, but we did it. We did I think I missed one day because I was sick, maybe two, but I did make those days up. But yeah, it's quite a feat. And we found 100 different things to do with envelopes, believe it or not. Oops. Quick. What's the best way here? Maybe stand it up on the desk. Yeah, I'm just making sure nothing's poking out. I'm just making sure I'm lined up on all the sides. Looks good. Here. Got a bit of an oops here. Okay. Speaking of, but we'll see. That will dry. That's already dry. But that's okay. Perhaps we can cover that up with a pocket or something later. We'll see what it looks like when it's completely dry. But so far, look at our pretty journal. Yeah, Roxanne, we call those happy accidents, right? Like when we make a oops. Go this way. Sherry Vanderpool. Hi, Sherry. Always nice to see you in the comments. Sherry can't wait to see what's next. Me too, because I've never done this before, Sherry. I'm really curious to see how this works out. I want to try to find the best way to, oops, see, I did it again. I need to be a little more, what's the word? Aware of what I'm doing here. It's kind of hard when you're chatting. There we go. I think that looks good. There. Margot was talking about how losing your spirit, and I think she's referring to the scrapbooking. And then she found some tutorials like mine and began to make junk journals. Oh, she said, I'm so calm when everything goes wrong. Not necessarily always in real life. I'm a bit of a spaz, I admit. But when I'm junk journaling, I think because with junk journaling, I know everything's fixable. So there's no... Back in my earlier days of junk journaling, yes, I might have fretted a little bit more. But now I'm certainly aware that everything's fixable. And so already I'm thinking it's adding to the width. So we might be okay with the number of pages we have. We can always squish it, but we can't expand it. So... Oh, this is pretty. I really actually like the look of this. I really do. And I love the thickness of the pages. So these are printed on just regular 20-pound copy paper. I didn't do anything special, but with them being folded in half, lovely. Something else Margot was talking about is taking, you know, realizing we can mix all these colors together and it ends up to be something beautiful. We don't need to be so restrained in, like, don't get restrained by a color palette. That one's a little bit shorter than the other ones. It's okay. Go. I love these little songbirds. So cute. That's okay, so papers. I told you before I would tell you what the papers are from. So this is in my basic journal pages. I have a kit called Songbirds, and it's all music sheets with pretty birds. And they go with like everything. So there's different colors. So that is a great basic one to have in your files, because you can print one or two to go with whatever, and they go with everything. So a great one to have. They also make beautiful tags and pockets. Okay, this one is from Heaven's Cottage. The junk journal kit called Heaven's Cottage. This one that says Paris on it is from my basic journal pages. It's just called Basic Journal Pages. And then I've got Songbirds again. And then this is Remnants. This is the one Teresa was asking about, I believe. This is the one I cut in, I demonstrated in part one. So this is vintage fabrics. So this is this one out of the Vintage Fabrics collection. This one's called Remnants. Okay, let's see here. So see, all different kits, and yet they all go together. Everything I do has a vintage vibe to it. So, okay, this is getting a little easier to line up now that it's a little thicker. Like it's a block. It's easier to stand that up and stack it and line it up. It's getting easier as we go. Look at that. I love it. Isn't that pretty? So far, so good. And then this one here is, I have my all-time best-selling kit was the Swan Lake kit. And then I made a complimentary kit to go with it. It's the Swan Lake lined pages. Now you can see here that the Swan Lake lined pages are not, I don't have any other, I don't have anything from the Swan Lake kit printed here, but these lined pages go nicely with this. So that Swan Lake lined pages is not just to go with the Swan Lake kit. It just goes really well with the Swan Lake kit. But you can see that those, if you need lined pages, this is a really good kit. So what it has is a muted image on one side and then just lined paper on the other. Okay. Keep this standing up. We're all lined up on all three sides there. And Patricia Taylor. Hi, Patricia. So good to hear from you. Patricia is looking forward to following along on this this series. Patricia was talking about doing a junk journal with miscellaneous papers and not having to worry about color matching. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And she said something which I thought was just a great mantra, which should be, use what you have and put it together. Isn't that perfect? Use what you have and put it together. I think that is just perfect. I think that's a perfect way to describe even like what we're doing here, but anything really. I love that, Patricia. That made me smile when I read that comment. But yes, Patricia, nice to have you here. We hung out lots during the envelope project. Some of you gals, guys and gents. Getting a little warpy. Why are you warpy? Maybe it's best if I do it like that. Okay. Very nice. Look how nice and flat that's laying. Yeah, hi, it was Teresa. Hi, Teresa. My friend Teresa, she was talking about, Teresa's on my design team. So this kit, or this project, I should say, this Hinge journal was inspired by my friend Cindy Lewis, who is also on my design team. And Teresa's on my design team. And Teresa makes beautiful shabby chic journals, romantic, just gorgeous journals. And she was asking about which kit this was from. I'm pretty sure that's the one you're referring to, Teresa. It's the Remnants. Okay, so this one, this hinge, is just a little bit too tall. I guess I didn't quite cut that one. Yeah, so it's got, just see, it's poking out right there. Can you see that? I want to see if you can see that or not. That's the best thing to show you. Do you see that little pokey there? I'm just going to trim it off. And it's not going to interfere with the construction at all. There. And we'll just, there, done. Easy peasy. And Mummy of 5 for him. Now, that's Carrie, right? She was appreciating the natural grunge of such a beautiful, I agree, it's just such a beautiful color. I love this blue kind of, would you call that? It's like almost like a periwinkle. I don't know what you would call that blue. What would you call it? It was a little difficult to match, but then with all of this array of colors here, the fact that it isn't completely matchy-matchy is completely fine. Okay, now which way do you go? This is the center of the, like if I were to picture this opened up, This obviously is the top of the page, so this would be the center. That's how I'm going to decide on that one. Lined up, very good, very good. A little too tall there. I just have a few seconds to maneuver with that glue, but just enough. Some glue takes forever to dry, and it's just, I don't have that kind of patience. So like some people use Fabri-Tac or Beacon 3-in-1 when they're making their journals, which is great and fun, but I think every glue has its purpose. I just find it takes too long to set the Beacon. Like when I want to keep crafting, like doing something like this, I want to keep going, keep going. Of course I use it when I need to for something that needs that kind of extra stability or strength, or it just takes so long to dry, that's all. So Carrie was saying that she just finished her first hinged journal a few weeks ago, and she absolutely loves this binding technique. I think it's really neat too. I've never done one, and if you don't like to sew signatures, if you don't like sewing, this is a great alternative. I mean, sewing is obviously way faster than making all of these, but I found that I made these hinges while I was binge watching other videos, and in no time at all, it felt like I had, I mean, it's so quick to do that scoring and trimming. It was the chopping the corners off that took a little extra time in the inking, but really each step of making the hinges really didn't take that long. And it was kind of, didn't require a lot of brain activity, so I was able to watch videos while I did it, so. Oh, it was, yeah, and it was Carrie that said she loves how it allows the journal to lie completely flat, no matter where you open it. So she makes a very good point. Like, look it. Like, yeah, like that's a very good point. That's for a writing journal, especially. That is important, right? So, yeah, that's a fabulous idea. Carrie's been asked to teach at a ladies' retreat with her church in the fall. She says a little outside of her comfort zone. So she's going to be working with me along on this one to make some prototypes. Well, let's wish Carrie well. And Carrie, everyone's going to love to learn what you're teaching them. So you go in there, girl, with all the confidence in the world, because you know your craft and you know what a joy this craft brings. So I want you to go into that workshop like you got this. Let's all send Carrie our well wishes for her workshop in the fall. You got this, girl. Yeah, people love learning this kind of stuff, so and when you're sharing the love of something like that, everybody, when you've got something in common like that, you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. You don't need to be perfect either. Like, I'm certainly not. And here we are hanging out. Right? That's why I am always upfront and say, depending on what project I'm learning or video, what tutorial I'm doing, that I'm pretty upfront with you to say, we're going to learn this one together, because if it's something I haven't done before, but I want to try, I've got to let you know I'm not the expert. There we go. That's pretty straight. I don't know if I'm doing this exactly like Cindy did, but I think pretty close. It's crafty Corey. where she was talking about how the transition from scrapbooking to junk journaling is perfect. She said she used to be a scrapbooker, but she's more addicted to junk journaling. She said for her, it's the collage concept and the idea of using paper to make wonderful pages and hidden spots and tags and all the things. That's what intrigues her. She said, nice start to your journal. Okay, I agree, Corey. This is a good start. So I mentioned in the last video about one of the similarities between junk journaling and scrapbooking is that we enjoy the process, the making, not just the end product. And I think like something like this is it proves exactly that. Like, this is very relaxing doing this. It's always nice to do something on repeat, but every page I do, it's a different spread, and it's nice to see these spreads come together. And so yes, this is a great example of how enjoying the process, we enjoy the process as much as the finished product. So I'm quite enjoying this. What a neat binding technique. I don't know why I waited so long to try one of these. I know why I tried it, because I was so inspired by Cindy. Cindy's on my design team and was using one of my kits. So of course I can't promise to watch every video, but I of course watch the ones where my team is doing something, and I was inspired and like, I want to try. That's it. I'm doing it now. I'm going to try a Hinge journal finally. So thank you, Cindy, for getting me to do that. Just lifting a bit here. So speaking of design teams, we're towards the end of July here. So coming up very soon, I have a guest designer for August, and that is Diane from Faith Art Designs. So she will be doing a really fun folio project using stained glass secrets. So stay tuned for that. I will definitely share that information. Her and I were just chatting this morning, and she's all ready to go. She has made, wait till you see her folio project. It's very fun. So when I made that kit, Stained Glass Secrets, the vision I had in mind, it has a lot of Renaissance. It's not all Renaissance, but it has a lot of Renaissance images in it. There's other ages in there too, but that wasn't my goal. My goal wasn't to make a Renaissance kit. My goal was to make a kit about the stained glass and about women having a sacred place to speak their heart or share their secrets to whomever. And that's how that some things, just things that we women bear in our heart. That was the intent of that kit. And Diane has, when she saw the kit, it reminded her of how she could use that in her faith art designs, and she did a beautiful job. Oh, whoop, whoop. Did you see what I just about did there? So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'll definitely share that with you guys. So how about if I zoom through the next bunch here? Oh, this one's going to be a little bit long, so I'm going to have to trim that, the tip off the end of that one there. Looks good. Yeah, it's already getting nice and thick, so I think, I'm hoping we'll be okay for the amount of pages I have. But I'm going to just zoom through the rest of these. Okay, so I have everything that I had prepared glued together. So I'm just going to trim off that. There we go. Okay, let's check the size. So I have, you can see I have quite a bit of room in there. So if I were to hinge the front and back, here to here, where the hinge is going to lay down, it's kind of still on the inside of this spot. Look at how much room I have. Okay, I clearly need to add a bunch more papers. So I am going to pause this video, make a bunch more papers, make more hinges. It's just it's a wide spine. What was it? 1.5 inches? Let's just double check. Yeah, it's 1.5 inches spine. So 24 papers is not enough for this 1.5 inch spine. So lesson learned. So I did not mean to lead you astray. I honestly had no idea. If I was going to just make my own cover afterwards for that, that's fine. I could do that, but I really want to use this book. So I am going to pause this video, and I'm going to come back. And what do we need? Maybe I'm going to say maybe another. I'm just looking at the distance here to here and here to here. Maybe a third of it. Let's go maybe another. Let me try 10 first, and I will be right back. Okay, I am back. So I have trimmed and folded and glued another set of papers here, another 15 or so. So together, look at the difference in the inked ones. And so together, let's see. So again, it looks good, but I just need to make sure that my hinges are going to. So when I put my next, oh my goodness, I've covered them up here. I'm going to need to make a few more hinges too. I just need to make sure that that is going to reach to glue down on the back cover, and then one of them will reach. That when I say that, I mean that this is, my book block is wide enough so that that can glue down here. It's almost like I could use a few more. Yeah, I think I'm going to add a few more. Which stands to reason, because when we have a journal with 1.5 inch spine, it's usually over 100 pages, right? Like front and back. So say 50, 60 page sets. Okay, so I'm going to do a few more, and I'll get those inked up, and I'm also going to make some more of these, and then we will do the front and back cover. Patience, patience, Kathy, patience. I have made a bunch more pages. I think there's 15 here, I'll count, and a whole bunch of hinges so that I can try to get this to be the right size. But before I finish doing that, I'll do that off camera and I'll come back. I just wanted to show you that I did find this. That is the cardstock that I used to make my hinges. So this is a paper pack I had purchased from Michael's. It's a Recollections and brand, and it's 65 pound. So this is what I was talking about, the multicolors. And there's only 50 sheets in a pack, but it's a 65 pound paper. This is the color I'm using. Is it, or is it this one? It's this one, this color here. So yeah, I just wanted to show you that I found that when I was grabbing an extra sheet to make more hinges. All right, let me get this finished and I'll be right back. I finished adding the rest of my papers. I believe I have 44 in total. Now I do have a wide spine, 1.5 inches, so maybe you won't need that many. But look at how nice, that's the spine, and here's the front of the book. And I think it looks really good. I mean, you could use a ribbon tie on that and call it a day. That would be beautiful. But we're going to add it to this book. So what I wanted to make sure was that it fits in the spine, and that the cover still opens and closes freely. So this is what I ended up with. I just want to make sure that this opens and that opens freely, and I think I have it just about perfect. I did have a few more pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I took 5 off actually. This was attached and I removed some. It was just a little bit too wide. So this is what I ended up with. So in theory, I want to attach the hinge on the front and the hinge on the back before I glue them down to the cover. And then this is just the piece of paper I've chosen to be my inside cover. I was going to try that wallpaper, but I couldn't get 2 nice pieces that showed the image on the wallpaper plainly. This one's a little bit long. I'll end up having to trim that. That's fine. Okay, so let's just start with the front cover. So I have to say, this was a lot of fun. We're still going to do another video of decorating and adding pockets and such. And I've seen some, I'm quite inspired by some images I've seen lately of some layering. And I want to try to do that with you for, to finish off this journal. Because I know some of you really enjoy the decorating part. I've lost me. So that will be, this will just be, by the looks of it, 3 videos long. So let's just trim that little bit right there. There we go. So that's the front hinge. And then we're going to do one on the back. See where it's kind of lifted up here a little bit? That's because I tore off those last 4 or 5. But I'm not concerned about the paper because we're going to cover it up with this one. There, fixed. Fixed. That lined up. Same thing, just like we did with the other ones. Okay. Oh, I put that one on upside down. As far as the inking goes, I mean, it still works, but well, that's okay. Let me see what we can do with that. So I've never done this before. The only thing I'm thinking is that maybe this last hinge that goes here, maybe the parts that face outward could be wider, but I think we'll be okay. I mean, that's a lot of real estate to glue down. I think we'll be okay. Okay, and then this one's a little tall. Oops. Okay, well, here's the moment of truth. I'm going to try one side at a time. A little bit generous with the glue here, just because it's soaking into fabric. Okay, so let's get that centered. Looks good. Make sure I'm upside right. Okay, and do this one. I can bend this or not. Let's just go quickly. So remember, this is not the back. The spine itself is not glued down. It will be detached. It won't be attached. It will have, there'll be a space in there between. Okay, let's see. Okay. Before I get too excited about laying that down, let's just make sure our covers open and close without any issue. I'm happy with the height, if you can see there. I'm happy with the spacing there. I'm happy with the height there, like how I have it centered for the height of this cover. I think that looks good. What do you think? So it's lifting up here. I can tell, I'll show you. The fabric here has lifted because it just got wet with this glue. So we'll just revisit that. That's not concerning. What's going to hold it all together is going to be the paper we put on top. See a little bit of a gap in here too. Let's just fix that while we're in here. Okay, that's good. I think I'll just leave that for a moment. I have a cup here. I'm just going to set my glass of water here aside. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside for a second. And sorry about the lighting. We have a gray day here, so this is about as good as it's going to get. Okay, so I know I need 5 inches wide by 7 3/4 tall. I've already measured, so this is just, again, 20-pound copy paper. So that is going to get glued inside like this, right on top of that hinge, and cover everything up. So this is going to be the piece that binds everything together. So let's get these ink. I've seen some really beautiful journals lately with some layering ideas of things I want to try. So in next video, I just want to let you know we're going to be making some faux vintage tape for this journal. So that will be fun. We'll be adding some writing space, a few pockets, a few flips, that sort of thing, you know, the usual suspects. But yes, I definitely wanted to make, do some layered bits. I just think this will soak in nicely to the fabric that's there. That's sticking out a little bit, and I would just want a nice even coat. I want this to lay down really nice. So this is the glue I'm going to use, is Mod Podge. Okay. Underneath that fabric. Do a perimeter of the art glitter glue, and then we'll lay this down. That is perfect. My brayer's in rough shape. I just can't get right in here. Gentle. And let's see. That is pretty. I like that. Looks like a nice end paper for a book. And then let's do the front as well. I keep this folder handy beside me, and it's just full of all of this kind of stuff to protect my pages. There we go. Got a lift there. Let's fix that. Here, trying to turn it so you don't get a shadow. Lay down, and again, once we cover it with our paper here, everything should stay together in place. Our glitter glue, do a perimeter. Okay, and bring that down a little bit. Uh-oh. There we go. Oh, that's really pretty. I've got this turned right upside down, but that's the front. Okay, so let me just get this right side up. There we go. So that is the front and the back. And it is a thin paper, I realize that, but like I said, I'm trying to stick to just using what I have. There we go. Oh, it's pretty. It's pretty. Okay, so I don't want to mess with that too much. We're going to let it dry closed, and then we'll see how it is separate from the hinge or the spine. There's space in there. So in theory, she should lay down. Oh yeah, look at that. Look how nice and flat. Oh, that's really great. So good. I'm really pleased with that. Ah, I love it. I'll go through and do some burnishing after, but this is fabulous. Look at it. And it's jumping because it's floating. But as a writing journal, oh yeah, I quite like that. Yeah, see how it's floating? Oh, that's so cool. That is seriously one of the most fun things I think I've ever made. Yeah, I'll go through and burnish those, but yeah, oh, that is so fun. Look at it. And then when you close it up, it lays nicely. That is great. And we still have room to, because it's not gaitered yet, we know we still have room to do some decorating. Okay, fabulous. Let's let this dry overnight, and then we'll get to the next video. We will get to decorating this beauty. Oh, how fun. Look at that. So we didn't have to sew through the spine. We didn't have to remove the spine. Isn't that great? I really like it. It's really pretty. And everything just goes together with a vintage vibe in pink and blue, sepia tones. Look at the birdies. Oh, I'm in love. I love it. It's perfect. Oh, it's so cute. All the old vintage fabrics and the vintage wallpaper, avocado dyed paper. Oh, look at that. Like, that's just such a pretty spread right there. How nice is that? All right, I am going to sign off for today. Thanks for hanging out with me again, and I am excited now. Oh, so excited. I'm excited now to get decorating this journal with you. So I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to comment below. Still interested in hearing everyone's thoughts about scrapbooking. If you're sitting on the fence about learning about junk journaling, if you have any questions at all as a scrapbooker about whether or not to take that plunge, although it wouldn't be much of a plunge, I think it would just be a toe tip. There's so many similarities between our two crafts. Well, thanks. I'll see you next time. Bye.